My bedtime routines are pretty normal. I'll check my doors and windows are locked and then leave something by them so that if somebody were to come in, they would either wake me or would be unable to leave without me knowing that they had been here. Sometimes I will leave a box against my door, a wind chime on the handle of my window, just enough that I can sleep somewhat soundly. I never sleep with a mirror facing the bed, out of superstition more than anything. Speaking as somebody who tends to wake up in the middle of the night a lot, there's nothing freakier than sitting up before you fully opened your eyes and seeing something else in the corner of your room. My most recent routine revolved around my desk chair. I have a tendency to leave it haphazardly away from my desk, and often I would be too tired to tuck it back under before I would sleep, so I would never bother. I had always assumed that given I would be using it the next day, it wasn't worth the bother. When I was getting up in the night, I'd usually be going back to the desk anyway for a few hours. One of those nights, that was exactly what I thought was happening. Woke up, as I do 2 or so nights a week, and looked to where my mirror was facing the wall. All clear. Got up, checked my door. Box hadn't moved, locks were still locked. Went to the bathroom and braved the dark hallway. Normal routine. I made it back to my bed in one piece, but I couldn't help looking over at my chair. It was facing the bed, with how it had spun around when I had last used it. I debated going back to my desk for a few hours, but figured I was too tired, so I tried to get back to sleep. I awoke again not long after, groggy but otherwise alert to a jingling sound. Blinked a few times before realizing that I was stuck. No big deal, I've had sleep paralysis before. Once I was aware of the situation, it had suddenly become so much less scary for me, so I calmed down pretty quickly and tried to convince my brain to fully wake up. Wasn't working. So, plan B. I looked to my mirror, half expecting to see the reason why I originally faced it away from the wall, staring back at me with a long face. But it was exactly where I had left it, against the wall. I glanced over to the door as much as I could, but the box still seemed to be in the same spot. Not an intruder dream then. As I glanced at the window, my eyes passed over the chair, or where the chair was when I left it. Now on edge and still trying to wake my brain up, my eyes darted to my left and I nearly shit myself. The chair was next to my bedside, but it wasn't empty anymore. I could only see the shadow of someone sitting there, but the smell of rot and the heavy, laboured breaths were a bit too real. Eyes were shut again. Asked my brain again why we were still in this very obvious nightmare. There was no waking up though. I had to lie there with that sound, trying my hardest not to show any signs I was conscious, any response to the pungent smell of decay. I must have fallen back asleep somehow at some point, because when I awoke, there was light streaming through the gaps in my blinds. The chair sat by my bedside. My bedtime routines now are a little more intense. I'll check my doors are locked, my windows, and I'll put the box by the door, the wind chime by my window. Just so if somebody was to come in, I would hear them, or they wouldn't be able to leave without me knowing that they had been here. I'll turn my mirror around to face my wall, just to avoid freaking myself out when I wake up in the middle of the night. If I use my desk, I have to tuck the chair underneath it once I am done. What would you do in this situation?